Hey there, Salka, everybody. Welcome back for another amazing episode of Marhaba, the Marhaba Crypto Show. You guys saw the new intro. Let us know what you guys think about it in the comments below. And as always, we have a phenomenal show for you guys today. We're going to be talking about a few things, but before that, Moby, how are you doing? And how's your day? How's Australia?
Good, good. Australia is really good, man. But I think we should talk about you, Ahmed. What are you doing in the UK? Like, rumor has it, you're on the uh, prowl for a new wife. So
For
how's
a
that?
new
How's
wife.
that going? You've tried Saudi, you've tried Pakistan, Canada. So now you're in the fourth continent. Is that the reason? Because I hear that's the reason why you're in the UK.
You're hearing the wrong reasons. You're hearing the wrong reasons. No, I
That's
was
what I
here,
that's what I heard. That's what I've been told. That the rumor
and
on
you
the
said
street is Ahmed's looking for a wife.
Yeah. Yeah. No. That's not why I'm here. I'm actually here because of an event. On Friday there was a really good event
How'd the
at
event go?
IFG. Yeah, and it was a really good. It was a really good event. It was about ways to invest and what to do with your money and whatnot. And so, we from Marhaba were representing one for sure. We were representing Marhaba, but we were also representing the crypto industry and explaining and DeFi industry and whatnot, and explaining the future of it, the importance of it, and all that stuff. So, yeah, it was a good event. I'm in UK. It's been pretty interesting here. Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Obviously, I got the wrong news. That's much better news. It's
Where do you
much
get
better
this
news.
news from? You need to
I, don't-
check
I
your
can't I
sources.
can't reveal I can't reveal my sources. I can't reveal my
Is
sources.
it
But
is it is it
it's good to hear.
RC
Good to hear.
or
Alhamdulillah, the event went very well.
okay? Yes. Alhamdulillah. Okay. As always, guys, we'll have Moby with us. We'll also have Inshallah Mufti blog coming in right after. So we're gonna talk about today. What's the schedule of today? So we're gonna have our beloved brother Moby, who's gonna start off with the market update, and then right after that, we will go into some details with Mufti Bilal about a very interesting topic. And then after that, I'll do the update from Marhaba side. After that, Moby's gonna do a featured content about a specific token today, and then we're gonna wrap it up. So without any further ado, Moby, what's going on? How's the market looking? Are we crashing? Are we gonna go up? Give us your market update.
Yes. So okay, let's get straight into it, Ahmed. You'll have to forgive me, man. I love you, my brother, and we just want you the very best for you. You need to have a nice wife. So yeah, you have to bear with me.
I,
Anyway,
I
all good.
think
Let's
I
get
think we'll
straight.
do a show just for that. We'll do one show, and
We'll
then
do
after
show,
that, no
yeah,
more.
just for that. Just drop in the comments if you want to hear about Ahmed's halal love life. Anyway, you can see my screen, okay, Ahmed?
Yes, again, yes.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's start with the big mama, right? Let's start with Bitcoin. So there's been, the markets are quite confused right now. The fear and greed index is still fear, and I want to talk about that a little bit. So what we're looking at right now is the Bitcoin chart, and you can see here we're still above actually the 21-day moving average, right? So funnily enough, we're at a point of confluence right here. We're above the 21-day moving average, which is always a bullish sign. And the other thing I just want to draw your attention to is this. Let me just drag this a little bit here. Is this broadening descending wedge? Now, broadening descending wedge, it's almost like a megaphone opening up. It's typically a bullish pattern, and it's typically said to be a reversal pattern, and it's formed by two diverging lines where the points are sort of hitting again and again, and they're widening and widening. Now, what we currently have, right, and this is something I tweeted about 2 days ago, is a potential bump and run. So in trading or investing, you look for points of confirmation. And one typical point of confirmation is a bump and run pattern. So hitting this line here and then bouncing off. If we bounce off that, that's what I'm looking for. That's the actual point I'm looking for. And that's still in play right now. So what does that mean? That point actually is around $40,000, right? So $39,000 to $41,000. Let's call it $40,000 to be safe. That's where I can still see Bitcoin safely falling to, and no issues, no dramas. So we're at 42,000 right now. I expect it, if it did drop to 40, it's not something I'd be worried about. It's something I'd almost assume that traders are looking for. But having said that, Bitcoin is still up around 17% in a week. If I go on my longer term chart that I've shown you guys in the past here, you can see that yes, according to this model, we are still in neutral territory. We're still in neutral territory. But again, if we actually hit this point here, to get back into bullish zone, that's around $49,000, $50,000. So that $40,000 as a potential bounce is very much in play, and it's something that I think is just par for the course, really. So again, we are still up 17% in 1 week. So when in doubt, guys, zoom out, because it's not necessarily a bad thing. Again, we're still in. I'm going to keep it quite objective. We're in neutral territory. I won't say we're in a bull market right now, and I won't say we're in a bear market. I'm sitting on the fence on this one, but we're definitely not in either of those extremes. So, guys, like not only should you zoom out, but also think about what's happening fundamentally. Like there's been so much bullish news. I struggled this week to figure out what I'm going to talk about and what I'm going to actually cut out, because there's so much bullish news. So one piece of key news that came out was El Salvador is releasing a bond, right? A Bitcoin bond. Now, what's a bond? A bond, in short, is when a government or a large enterprise company wants to borrow money from the public. And in exchange, they pay you an interest rate and the principal on maturity. Now, as a Muslim, of course, I don't condone a bond. Every country on earth has a bond. It is what it is. And when you sort of think about it, like, we love El Salvador. They're big proponents of Bitcoin. It's great for all of us in the crypto space. But I mean, guys, like the Muslim in me just can't help, asking Ahmed, like, guys, you're borrowing money on behalf of a nation on a speculative asset. Like, it's definitely a store of value, but still short-term speculative. I wouldn't be gambling. Yeah, go ahead.
They're good. That's what I'm saying. They're going all in. The risk to return ratios, it's too much. The risk is just increasing right here. But I think they're going all in. Let's see where this ends up.
Let's see what it ends up. But honestly, that's the Muslim side of me. That's very quite natural for us to even think about interest and mortgage. But anyway, it is what it is. But the crypto investor side in me does sort of see the fundamental bullish case for it. So what are they doing with this? Well, they're raising $1 billion, and half of that they're going to be raising for Bitcoin mining, and the other half for buying more Bitcoin. And they're issuing an investment of 6.5% per annum on that, anyone who wants to buy the bond. So bullish stuff, right? Now, that's not the only thing that's sort of happening right now. Accountants, Ahmed, must be some of the most conservative people I know on earth. But KPMG Canada, actually, homage to your hometown, Ahmed, they've added Bitcoin and Ethereum to their balance sheets. And they talk about here, this investment reflects our belief that institutional adoption of crypto assets and blockchain technology will continue to grow and become a regular part of the asset mix. So, guys, we've been following this for a really, really long time. We've been looking at institutions buying into this, and they're just, honestly, it's almost becoming cliche at this point. KPMG 1 week, HSBC another week, all these big businesses and I guess enterprise people who deal with enterprise big money are investing into crypto. The only difference now is it's going from 1% of the holdings to more than 1%. So really, really bullish stuff. And it's one of those things, right? Like what do we do, Ahmed? Like, when the market is, we've spoken about this before, when the market is fearful, and right now we have a score of fear, and you see institutions, actually buying in, they're actually doing what we talk about. They're being greedy when the markets are fearful.
They're watching
That's
the
what
show.
They're doing. Absolutely. They're watching the show whilst we sort of, should I buy? Should I not buy? Of course, when in doubt, even in these times, one of the best things you can do, and we spoke about this before, is dollar cost average, right? DCA, so you're investing less than you probably want to, when you are fearful, but you're doing it at a consistent basis, right?
Yeah.
Now, whilst the world is, why are the markets suddenly right now? Obviously, we went to about 44, 45. We fell back a little bit to 42. People are freaking out. Why are they freaking out? Well, one big reason is Russia right now, right? Russia's on the verge of attacking Ukraine. Some reports say, I jump on Twitter every so often, and Twitter, the news cycle so fast. Sometimes I read like they've already attacked Ukraine, right? You don't know who to believe. But whenever there's a global macroeconomic event, it makes markets edgy. It makes people a little bit fearful, and they don't necessarily want to invest. But Russia's not worried. Like, maybe Russia wants to do this, right? Like recently they came out, and the new news article this week was Russia is regulating crypto. dispelling fears of bans. So the government's plan to license exchanges and tax large transactions has the support of the central bank, which previously wanted to outlaw mining and trading. So even on this show, we shared a story that said that Central Bank of Russia wanted to ban crypto. And then a week later, Vladimir Putin said, oh, mining and crypto is good. And now Central Bank in Russia is saying, yeah, we're kind of okay with that as well. So, you got to be careful. Like, you got to be careful what you believe. But what we are seeing, the general direction is that way. Last week we spoke about India legalizing it and applying a 30% tax rate, which sounds like a lot of money, but that's great. Governments are realizing if we can't beat them, we have to join them. We have to have these economic policies in place to, protect our nation interests. But this is not something we can block. People are going to find their way around it. So this is really, really good stuff. So yeah, and what should you do when there is global macroeconomic events, right? I really like this tweet by Raoul Paul, and he put this tweet out yesterday where he said how to trade geopolitical events, a thread. And it's kind of a joke because not really a thread. His answer is don't. You have zero edge in trading CNC, Fox, CNBC News rumors, which are direct path to losing money, which I love that because there's nothing you can do. Like these guys that have a vested interest, right? So Forbes, it's not an article I'm talking about or sharing today, but Forbes is investing in Binance, or Binance is investing in Forbes. Now, that is when you think about it, there's a mad conflict of interest because Forbes obviously is a news article. It's part of the news cycle. They're going to put out things that are good for Binance and good for crypto. Maybe when they want to buy, when they don't want to buy. So you don't trade geopolitical events. You look at what's happening on the macro scale, and you invest accordingly. Moving ahead, I really like this article that came out recently. The Department of Justice in America, so the US government, recently seized $3.6 billion in Bitcoin stolen in the Bitfinex hack a couple of years ago, right? So I really, really like this because one of the big, and Ahmed, you were obviously at the event, so maybe you can talk to us about what people who don't know anything about crypto, what their views are. Because me personally, when I hear old timers complain about crypto, they say, oh, crypto is fake money. It doesn't exist. Anyone can hack it. Now, technically, this is not a Bitcoin hack. This is a exchange hack. It was Bitfinex, right? Is Bitcoin unhackable? Is it impossible? Nothing is impossible until it happens. But Bitcoin to date has never been hacked. Banks have been hacked. Your credit cards have been hacked. Bitcoin hasn't been hacked. Ethereum hasn't been hacked, right? But exchanges has. But the second point is when an exchange is hacked, you can trace it. You can actually trace it. So the fact, this actually gave me comfort knowing that when there are, because one issue people talk about is, if our money is lost, it's lost. There's no consumer protection. Someone literally said this to me, if your bank gets hacked, the bank is insured they can give you your money, right? Firstly, it depends on the nature of the hack. But secondly, this does prove that if the money is big enough and there is enough, attention on something, the government has the tools. Because the nature, and they talk about this here, the nature of the blockchain is it's forever open, right? There's always a path you can follow, which is impossible doing it the traditional way of shell companies and bulk cash smuggling. So your thoughts about that, Ahmed? I'm just curious because I don't know whether this came up or didn't come up, but obviously you were at this forum for Islamic Finance Group or Gurus, whatever they're called, and you met with a lot of people who actually don't even know what crypto is.
Yeah. No. So when I was there, a lot of people were asking us about in regards to the trustability, even the scams, and also the whole aspect of hacking and stuff. And yeah, so it's about great understanding of how right now it's growing, the industry is growing, what's happening. In the initial times of, I always go back to the .com boom because there needs to be there's no actual reference point for crypto because crypto is totally unique, totally different. But there's the slight thing that you can look at is the .com boom. In the initial stages of .com boom, there's a lot of similar actions like this where people were doing things, scams were happening, blah blah blah. But now look, everybody has a laptop, computer, and everybody's on .com, right? So you have to understand that there is changes that are coming in, and slowly and steadily there will be formats that are developed to stop and prevent negative and irregular behavior within this industry also. And so there was discussions on this, and there's ways in, you know, how you answer about the scams, how you answer about the black market, how you go about, you know, the one thing you mentioned here is that the blockchain itself, you know, isn't what's being hacked. It's the exchanges. There's a difference. It's like you take your login and your password and leaving it somewhere, and somebody sees it, logs in from your account, or does forget password from your account and somehow gets into your account because you didn't do two-factor authentication, or you didn't do, you know, whatever their full security protocols are. And some exchanges are actually pretty stupid because the way they have their you know, security prevention and their firewalls, they're very weak. So that's why, you know, you want to make sure the exchange that you're working with have a very strong firewall and stuff like that. And you, because someone does not know how to keep their password in place, they, you know, it's not that blockchain got hacked. No, it's that exchange got hacked. It's like somebody going into a bank and then stealing from there. You know, if they had 10,000 security guards outside, no one would have stole from that bank. But because they only had one security guard who's a weak one, I don't know, I'm just saying, like bad firewall, they got through. So that it's not the blockchain. You have to understand it's actually the exchange. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of these discussions.
I don't know if you saw this, but it's funny when you actually look at who hacked. Like the two, it was a husband and wife couple, you know, I guess kind of romantic, you know. But when you look at like the people who hacked, like I just want to play this thing. Like this is one of the women who hacked. Like it's so funny. Like if you just want to have a laugh and look into the people that actually hacked this, and there was a lot of jokes and stuff on Twitter, like, oh my god, you know, maybe I should be careful what we see. But yeah, people were like, oh my god, this is who hacked Bitfinex. Like this is the type of people who.
You thought it was a nerd sitting in the basement of his mother's house, didn't you? Huh?
Yeah, it's just these real crazy people. Anyway, a lot of fun. But last thing I do want to say on the geopolitical stuff is when this stuff happens, it's a buying opportunity. You know, like I pray for the people of Ukraine. Obviously, we don't want war. Hopefully, nothing happens. Hopefully, it's more noise than anything, right? But it's a buying opportunity. Like fundamentally, guys, I hope you can see what me and Ahmed are seeing. Things have never been stronger. Like last week, we spoke about Octopus, and now it's 20% off. You know what I mean? So like you guys loved it at $3. Why don't you like it at $2.48? You know, that's a coin that has a fixed supply of $100 million. And even Cosmos doesn't have that, right? So it's just one of those things. Like there's a lot of things. And I remember we also spoke about, what's the other one? Metis. That rallied from 140 to 170, right? Which you should have took profits if you bought into it. Like we've been saying, that's now at 112. You know what I mean? So like fundamentally, these things haven't changed. Like Metis is still, you know, one, and I'm going to talk about it today, still really, really strong. Vitalik's mum is still involved in the project. She hasn't disowned her son. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, just something to be mindful of. But moving on, speaking of really good projects, you know, I want to talk a little bit about AVAX and why I believe it's underrated. And actually, you know, when you should look at buying at some sort of price point stuff. So if you had AVAX on your watch list, and I might actually just refresh this, right? Might refresh this real quick. $83. Okay, there you go. It's gone up. If you had this on your watch list, you would have noticed that it didn't really dip. You know, and I know this because I was waiting on a dip. I was waiting to buy more of this. And if this feels like deja vu, Ahmed, because, you know, I've said this on the show before, you're not wrong. I have said that before. This is the second time or third time where the entire market has moved down and AVAX has moved down, you know, it's gone up maybe 2%. Or gone down 0.5% or 0%. And this time, this bugger has done this. Now, last time this happened, this thing went straight to $150. I'm not saying it's going to happen now again, but now that the market's, you know, in the last couple of hours since recording, the market's bounced a little bit. Don't be surprised if that happens again, right? So before I kind of get into the like entry points of AVAX, because, you know, you guys know I like to talk about entry points and when's a good time to buy on the trend line, that type of thing. This coin really is the Swiss Army knife of layer ones right now. And I've always been a fan. I've spoken about this before, and in some of you guys have even commented on YouTube that they, you know, took our advice and then did their own research and bought AVAX and made some money. But I want to talk a little bit about why I call it like the Swiss Army of cryptos right now. Now, in terms of how AVAX works, and you can still see my screen, Ahmed?
Yeah.
Yeah, you see my screen. So in
Mm-hmm.
terms of how it works, it has three main chains, right? So it's got the one chain, it's called the platform chain. And that allows you to, sorry, let me start with the C chain actually, because that's kind of the most popular one. That's the EVM chain, right? The C chain, and allows you to create Ethereum smart contracts, ERC20 tokens, that type of thing. So huge tick about interoperability, and we've spoken about that before on this show. Then you've got the P chain, which allows you to create subnets and other chains, other custom chains. So it's similar to Cosmos, what Cosmos does, but it does it in a different way. And
Mm-hmm.
unlike Cosmos, it does have a fixed token supply, I believe. And then you have the X chain. Their X chain is kind of like their Western Union chain. Now, Western Union is an old piece of data technology. I'm not trying to compare it, but it's like their Western Union. It allows you to transfer assets super fast, super cheap, and that's all it's designed to do. And it can even do things like, you know, things that obviously we don't condone, but even create derivatives of smart assets and that type of thing. So these guys, they've kept it separate. Unlike Ethereum, where you do everything on that one road, AVAX has created three separate highways. So in Ethereum, you are building a smart contract, you're sending value, you're doing NFTs, you're doing everything on this very, very road that gets quite busy. And AVAX is sort of keeping it, you know, clean like that. Now, before I quickly jump off, I want to quickly talk about, you know, pricing points, because this thing hasn't moved a lot. It really, really hasn't. Now, I tweeted something, if I go back on the 4-hour chart, I tweeted something a couple of days ago, and this did play out, and you can go check my tweet if you want. We had a bearish divergence. So what that is when you have a higher high, and then you have a lower low on the RSI. So that there is the bearish divergence. And it came down. Now, the level I'm actually looking for is the, you know, the Bismillah, the 786 level, which is around it's a Fibonacci level, which is $71.35. So, but if I do something else, if I actually turn on the linear regression band, right? So the linear regression band, I've spoken about this in the past. Let me get rid of this for a second. You can see here, we're still in that top band. We're still really, really quite bullish. Now, we broke out of this ascending a triangle, which is bullish. We broke well out of that. We didn't even bounce off of that, which I was waiting on for that. That didn't happen. So right now, funnily enough, this line here and the 786 model, there's a sort of point of confluence here where you're looking at about $70 to $71. Again, not financial advice. So it's one of those things. Honestly, I think this thing could go higher. If we do sort of break through, we broke through the 65%. Actually, forget that one. It's the 62% level. We bounced off of it. We broke back down. It's an opportunity. But if this thing goes, it's going to go to $100, $110. And I can't really sort of see it stopping. Not financial advice. Now, moving on, speaking of Ethereum, I guess, you know, scaling, you know, solutions, let's talk about Polygon. So I want to talk about Polygon because no one's talking about Polygon, right? We've spoken about this before. So when I was looking for news, I'm like, let me look news for Polygon, you know, specifically. You know, I like to talk about coins that they're in the news, then look at the charts, but no one's talking about Polygon anymore. So, well, Polygon recently, as 4 or 5 days ago, raised $450 million from Sequoia Capital in India. You're talking $500 million here, right? It's like Brother Naguib once said, I was like, where's this money coming from? You know, Near raised $800 million. Like, it's just crazy. And what they're doing is it's to support their Web3 plans. So listen to this news, because it's not just Matic as a scaling solution. So this round, of course, was led by Sequoia Capital in India, but also Galaxy Digital and Kevin O'Leary's Shark Tank as well. So the money is going to be used to build Web3 applications, including Polygon point of service or point of sale, sorry. So again, now they're actually diversifying their product set. Polygon Edge, Polygon Avail, which are similar to Amazon Web Service offerings for Web 2, Polygon said in a statement. Now, what are the tokenomics? Is this going to increase the tokenomics of Matic? Are they going to release new tokens? I don't know. You know, I don't know, and I don't really care at this point. The point is, if you're an investor in Polygon, you know, the user case for it, the tokenomics of this thing are something to look at. Now, what's actually happening to the chart? The reason why I actually really like the chart for Polygon, if I had to do a tutorial on Fibonacci levels, it's like perfect. It's like textbook Fibonacci levels right now.
Yeah,
so you can see
the bounces.
See here, so with a Fibonacci, when you draw one, you should take it when there's a clear turn of direction, right? So I took this low, I took this high, and like you say, Ahmed, look here. So you got the 786, the Bismillah level. Let me draw this out. you got bounce, you got this sort of point of like just confluence here, bounce, you know what I mean? You've got this
Yeah.
level here, the 61 or 62% level, three,
Yeah.
4, 5 bounces here, bounce, 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 right? And then here,
Yeah.
obviously, we bounce. So, and again, more recently, we bounced off the 38% level. And now we broke through the 50% level, which is not a Fibonacci level, but it's a level that traders look for. And now we are possibly heading towards a really good buy zone of $1.50. Will we get there? I don't know. But like, why is this thing dropping when they're dropping $500 million, in funding, right? Like, be the smart one here. So the market's still obviously still liking, a Matic because it hasn't broken through its 21-day moving average, but it's something to look for. And right now I'm not personally investing more in it. But I think if you are, that $1.50 level, if you get that, that is a fantastic level to look for a bounce.
Yeah. Another thing that shows me here is after, that news is huge. Any project that has that type of news come out, that usually would go wild. And this kind of shows you the current our audience is progressing.
Sorry, Ahmed, you cut out there for a second. Last thing I heard was this shows you.
Yeah. Okay. So this shows you like the current audience within, or the current people in the market at large, are people who are just trying to make quick bank, quick money. But you're starting to see institutions come in, and that's where you're going to start seeing that big news like this are going to go are going to be accepted much better. Because if a company like Tesla was to get for $450 million in whatever they did, the next day you'd see a huge and it trend up for some time. And this is what I'm saying. Stocks are mature, crypto are starting to become mature, and so we're gonna, it's good to be early, and that's the benefits in the long run.
Absolutely. No, you're spot on, man. You make a really good point. So you're looking at Feb 8, right? Feb 8, where we go Feb 8 here, like barely, barely. Like that's just normal market fluctuations happening. You're right. So sometimes when this type of stuff happens, there's like latent demand just sits, like just kind of sitting there, for this to happen, So again, I'm sure there are some traders here, and some of you guys like me maybe like to dabble in trading, but I'd like to think most of you, if you guys were, pure traders, you wouldn't be watching this show. You'd be watching trader stuff. You're value investors. You're looking for long-term buys. So that's fantastic for all of us. Speaking of layer 2, right? Speaking of Ethereum scaling solutions, we spoke about Metis last week. And after the show, it did rally to $170. And funnily enough, if you followed the rule that I learned from Ahmed, which is every 20%, take 15%, when I spoke about it, it was $140. I think I calculated 20% off of that was like 168 or whatever it is, right? So you actually would have pulled out. I love this example because you would have pulled out at 20%. So you would have sold 15% and it dropped all the way down to $112. So you could have bought a lot more bang for your buck, or just DCA'd in a little bit higher, as opposed to holding those bags and be like, I should have followed that, that piece of advice. So I love seeing that. But anyway, not only I think is it not financial advice, I think a really good buying opportunity right now, but just an interesting fact I want to share here, that Metis actually started as an optimism hard fork. So, honestly, who came up with this word hard fork? Because it's honestly, it's kind of like the smart way of saying we copied it. Obviously made improvements. Metis is a fantastic project. You just have to watch last week's episode or the feature video we did on it just to see how fantastic it is. But anyway, it started as that, and now it's actually, it has more total value locked than optimism has itself. So obviously this thing is making waves. It had a 7-day change of 30% compared to everything else. It's making news right now, and it's not reflected price action whatsoever at all. The other thing about Metis as well, so this is quite interesting, right? So this might help you explain one of the user cases of Metis is there's already exchanges that are using it for withdrawals. So if you want to withdraw Ethereum, for example, you can pay high gas fees if you want. You can pay 1 Ethereum to, withdraw 1 Ethereum. It's not quite that bad, but it's pretty bad. Or you can use a layer 2 like Metis. So you can already do that with Gate and Hotbit, but now they've actually announced that OKX also allows that. So what else do you want? Gate, Hotbit, Bitmart, now OKX as well. Like what other news are you looking for, or reasons are you looking for? So yeah, awesome stuff there. Finally, the last thing I sort of want to talk about today is metaverse and gaming in general. Ahmed, do you know this game, Rabbids Invasion? Are you too old
Yes,
for that?
I heard of it a long time ago. I've heard of it. I just
Still
don't
playing it?
remember. I never played any games, to be honest, in my life. I'm not gonna lie
That's
here.
good. That's good.
I'm not
That's
a
good.
gamer. I'm sorry.
Fair
If I
enough. Fair
broke
enough.
someone's heart.
All good. So yeah, so the Rabbits, it's a popular game. We've probably seen it or played it. It is arriving on the Sandbox. Not exactly. I don't just want to share kind of headlines with you just to kind of give you the details. What it is Ubisoft, the company that owns Rabbits. They're starting to dip their toe in the water as far as the metaverse goes. And in the Sandbox, they've allowed voxelized versions of Rabbit's characters. So I guess you could walk around like a stupid bunny if you wanted to, the Sandbox, right? But this is huge. This is Ubisoft. So what we noticed, if you guys, again, if you're not doing this, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification. It's fantastic for us. Helps us get the word out. But we've been talking about this narrative, and you might have picked up that many episodes ago we spoke about the fact that these gaming studios are wanting to do this, but they had a bit of pushback from gamers. But man, money makes world goes around, right? So you're talking about a company like Ubisoft, who owns Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Tom Clancy, Rayman, those type of games, is still moving in. Like, they don't care. They're getting in come hell or high water. Another game too, another huge gaming studio called Zynga. These guys, built the game called Farmville, which is huge. These guys are releasing officially an NFT game as well. Huge stuff. Now, my final story is related to the metaverse, and Ahmed, followers of the show will know as well. I'm a huge Khabib fan. I'm a huge MMA fan, and it's one related to. This is really interesting stuff, right? So this made me have a oh my god moment. Right. And essentially what it is recently they released, it was like a day ago or 2 days ago, they announced the first ever metaverse fight. Right. It was between Max Holloway and Khabib. Now, technically, it was an MMA fight. It was like a boxing fight with, those Oculus VR goggles. And, it was really cool stuff, actually. I think I do have some footage of it here. Yeah. So you can see here on my screen, Ahmed, you can see that? Yeah. You can see here DC, obviously from AKG. You can see Khabib in the corner there, Max Holloway. A lot of fun, right? And DC is like full commentating and stuff, right? So this made me realize something. Watching this, like 10 seconds in, made me realize something. This is just the beginning, Ahmed. Like, honestly, you guys might like laugh at me, but think about this, right? This is one of the moments that I believe that we're going to look back and say, you know what? I remember the first time I saw a pro athlete metaverse event. Now, again, some of you guys don't believe me, but I want you to think about something. There are over 30 million esport viewers per month. I looked into this stuff, right? Just because you and I don't play games, Ahmed, just because we're not gamers, just because we're not into esports, because I'm not, it doesn't mean other people aren't. That number I had to double check. That is per month. Now, according to Statistica, the esports revenue is projected to hit 1.6 billion in 2 years. It's already over $1 billion, right?
Wow.
So now this is the thing. If you still don't believe me, think about this. I have never watched an esport game. I wouldn't know how to do it. I have never even watched a Twitch video, right? I don't know one person, like on a first name basis or a friend, who's into esports. And there is almost $2 billion in this. Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's niche, and there's already 30 million people. Like, I don't know how many people are going to watch the NFL final in 2 days, but 30 million per month, man. And it is niche. So what's going to happen when Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather fight, right? We always did that thing, right? Oh, what if Mike Tyson fought Muhammad Ali? What if Khabib fought, like, I don't know, Anderson Silva, whatever it is? What's going to happen when those type of fights keep, happen? Or Khabib fights Floyd Mayweather in the metaverse? Do you know what I mean? Guys, that's just the beginning. But anyway, Ahmed, I want to leave you with that. And that's my market update for the week.
Phenomenal. Wow, it's a juicy one. A lot of update for you guys. I hope you guys have notepads around you while you're, while Moby talks. You guys take some notes, or you can continuously watch this video again and again and learn from all the details that Moby's talked about. Okay, so now we'll invite Mufti BILLAL. Is Mufti BILLAL, how are you doing? Assalamu alaikum. How's your day?
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm fine, alhamdulillah. How are you guys?
I'm doing
Alaikum salam.
fantastic. You're in UK too, so I'm looking forward to meeting you inshallah soon. But yeah, today's topic, Mufti, what are we talking about? What are the details about this specific project? Is it permissible? Is it not permissible? What's going on?
Today we're not going to be talking about the particular project, but I think there are a lot of questions that's coming in from the community regarding certain games. Gaming project, where you can actually make money out of it in the in the crypto space, and I think so far I don't. We try to screen internally Sandbox last time. We haven't published any finding on it yet. That's obviously in relation to the metaverse as well. And I think from a Sharia perspective, I think the two are kind of related. Gaming and metaverse project, they're kind of related. Now, the issue when you look at a project where you can actually make money through gaming, I think the first question we need to actually ask ourselves is it permissible to play games, right? That would be the first question. And to answer these sort of questions, sometimes it can be tricky. We have seen in the past many scholars who felt that video games might not be Sharia compliant, they might not be halal, because they felt that spending time in such a way is just a waste of time, and a believer, a Muslim, should not be wasting the time. Okay, so if there is no any sort of meaningful activity that is happening, then therefore you shouldn't do that thing. I remember long ago, I was listening to one of the Mufti in Reunion Island, and he said that it is impermissible for a Muslim to sit down without doing anything at all that is not meaningful. And then he gave the example that imagine you're just sitting here and that's it, and you're not doing any thinking. You're not thinking about anything. You're not doing anything. You just sit here. You decide to just sit here.
Mufti Bilal, but that makes it so difficult for us.
What about is it okay to sit down and look at coin market cap every 2 hours? Is that good?
No. This is what I'm saying. So I'm not saying to just sit and obviously we all sit and read and do things. That is different. I'm saying sitting down without reading anything, without even thinking about anything, without using the brain, nothing. Without resting either. So this is two different things. And obviously, resting. If you're sitting down to rest, that means you're resting, right? You understand? So you are doing something. But what if you're sitting, or where you're standing? Okay, I said sitting, but what if you're standing and you just decide to stop and you're not thinking, you're not doing anything? You just
but let's be honest here.
For no reason whatsoever. No reason whatsoever.
But I'm getting there. We as men have the special powers that we can literally look into the sky and think about absolutely nothing. This is making it difficult because this is one power that
I think there are people that would do that. I think there are people that would do that. Yeah. Just sit down for no reason. And that could lead to a waste of time. Why? Because a believer should try to use that time, even if it's not for something related to the dunya, but he needs to utilize his time, in worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, doing something, remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, when it comes coming back to gaming, this is the issue, is that when you are playing game, is it actually you wasting your time or not? And there are people that will argue that no, but it's a mean of relaxing or leaving the stress out, this and that. So there are people that will argue against it. And this is the challenge, right? Is that does gaming actually fall under the category of time wasting? And then there are the issues as well related to that. Is that what if you are playing games so much that you become addicted to it? And we all know the harms of being addicted to games. whether it can lead you to lose money, whether it can lead you to have a toxic relationship eventually, because you're paying more time on your game rather than with your family, whether they are children, your wife, or your parents, or something like that. And or whether it can lead to harms to your health, right? Lack of sleep, etc. So these are the things. There are many things that are attached to the game. Now people will say, yeah, no, but what if it's in a controlled environment that there's a discipline and this and that? That's fine, but at the end of the day, yeah, there are these things to consider, right? We have to consider these things. So now this is in terms of playing the game itself. Then you have the other issue would be in relation to the content of the game, right? Now, there might be there are games that are clearly anti-Islamic games or anti-Muslims games, and there have been several games like that have been released in the past, right? Like I think one of them is called Muslim Massacre, for example, where you can actually go play the game and kill Muslims. So there are games like that. Sometimes these anti-Islamic content, they are in well-known games, like Call of Duty, for example, Fortnite. Like Fortnite, a couple of times there have been issues. Once, I think, there was a possibility to walk on the Quran. The player could just walk on the Quran, which was on the floor. Recently, there was a possibility now that the developers say it's not on their side, it's from the player side, where people can actually build a Kaaba, for example, and then they have to destroy the Kaaba to progress to the next level. You can have, like in the game of Call of Duty, it was the same thing. There were other games as well where the hadith, that you can have like a hadith written in Arabic of the Prophet ﷺ, which is hung on top of the toilet, for example. So there have been many, and sometimes we may be playing these games, but we're not aware of it because it's written in Arabic, and people, we don't understand Arabic, we don't know that. I have played games in the past, like I think long time ago, in 2000, there was a game that came out, was I think on PlayStation 2 or something. It was a game called Socom. That was 20 years ago. I'm talking about Socom. Yeah, it was. I saw it. I remember Ahmed, he was in Canada, and the reason how I ended up playing the game, it was the way it was advertised in Toronto. It was as if they were advertising for a movie, and I have never seen that in my life, like proper posters everywhere and stuff like that. I'm thinking I've never seen this in my life, like how could they advertise for a game in such a manner? But in the SOCOM, like you would see that you play supposedly in an Arab country. It's not a Muslim country, an Arab country, where you're gonna have like many Arabic writings around. Now you probably don't know. I didn't know at the time, what they mean, because I didn't know Arabic. So, but then it could be anything. It could be like they put a verse of the Quran out there, and then you're just holding up your gun and shooting at it, or something like that. Or I remember there were like pages and on the floor, and you can walk on it. But they can be anything. They can be verses of the Quran, and that actually has happened. And that has happened. So there are these issues, and these happen in well-known games. And we cannot, just ignore this, right? There have been a convention recently. I mean, not long ago. I think it was in 2002. It was a gaming convention in Las Vegas, and 2002 or 2016. And there was a panel that have said that the games industry, the games that are created in the West, tend to portray Muslims in a very negative manner, and this leads to Islamophobia. This was discussed in a panel, and they have acknowledged this. So we cannot. Sometimes we are not aware of these things. We play the game, we are not aware of this, and we don't follow the news or anything like that. We just think, oh, it's just a little game, but there are big things behind it sometimes, and we have to take that into consideration. So the content might be an issue when it comes to anti-Islamic content that are especially found in well-known games. Now, obviously, some of these games eventually they change it. Like Fortnite and Call of Duty, whatever, they remove it, they make the change, but by then the damage is done. You know what I mean? The damage is done, because there are over 1 billion Muslims in the world. Like, if you're going to put something in Arabic, you need to know exactly what you're putting on it. Do you understand? It's easy to find translators and stuff.
Yeah.
So by then, damage is done. Now, there are other contents as well that need to be assessed. Especially now, remember, whatever is going to take place within the metaverse are things that we have probably seen already in the gaming industry in the past. For example, drug consumption. Now, maybe we don't, because remember, when it comes to the metaverse, you will see that many people, many experts have said that we don't know what the metaverse look like. We can just think what it will look like. We can just assume what it will look like with the possibilities that can happen on it. But we don't know what it looks like yet, because this is not a fully developed project or fully developed industry. So now there are things that we know can possibly happen on it. Yeah. And we try to have a think about, okay, if this happened, how are we going to deal with it from an Islamic perspective? The regulators, they are thinking about the same thing. Everybody agree that the metaverse needs regulation. They are going to put regulation eventually. What these regulations look like, they don't know yet, but they think that, okay, there are certain things that needs to be done. Like, for example, recently, there have been women who have complained that their avatars on the metaverse was sexually assaulted. Now, they don't want that. So that means they're going to have to bring. Now, the question is, when I read that, is that, again, we will have to answer eventually the question that if, for example, your avatar is committing zina or adultery in the metaverse, then are you sinful or not? I'm not saying, okay, we are going to punish the person, we're going to apply, how do you call it, the punishment of zina or something like that. Is sinful. Does he have to repent? If your avatar is drinking alcohol in the metaverse, is it actually a sinful act? Does it mean that you need to repent? Now, some of these behaviors, they were already found in gaming from the past, right? Whether like in games like GTA, for example, where your character could smoke drugs or take drugs, or I think they could drink alcohol as well. I'm not sure. They could do zina and stuff like that. These were well-known behaviors, that made the news back then. Now, although we're saying it's not the person who's doing it, but it's your character, it's your avatar, you're making it doing it. Are you sinful to a certain degree? Does it mean you need to repent and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness? And does it actually mean that you can go and do these things? Right? Okay, you're not doing it physically, but can you actually make your avatar to engage in this sort of activity? Similarly, in the game, if you're playing a game, can you make your character and do that? Obviously, I personally believe that. So I'll come back to metaverse in a minute, but yes. So in relation to gaming, some of these content, they can be problematic. Okay, they can be problematic. Yes, it can be a game. It's just a game. It's just you relaxing. It's just having fun. But there are things that needs to be taken into consideration. Yeah, when it comes to playing games. And eventually, if we say, okay, it's not haram, it's something you should avoid, or maybe certain game, I think is love these things. They're on a case by case basis. Okay, they're on a case by case basis, which makes it even more difficult. How are you going to assess a game unless you play the game? That's another thing as well. Like I said to you, because some of these contents, for example, the anti-Islamic content, you will not know about it unless you play the game. You know what I mean? Until you actually reach a certain level, I think there is a game called, was it? I forgot how you pronounce it. PU something, PUGP or something.
PUBG.
PUBG. It was a shooting
PUBG.
game, and the football that came about because, you know, the character had to perform an act of worship to an idol to progress. So again, these can be problematic. There are scholars who are totally against these things, like the practice of witchcraft within a game, right? Definitely, it is not you doing magic. It's not witchcraft, but these can lead somebody maybe to accept, to feel that maybe this is halal. Eventually, maybe I will go and you know, these we need to. So a lot of things they're on a case by case basis. We need to see, you know, what are the effects of these gaming activities on a person, whether they're an adult or whether they're a child. So now, when it comes to making money out of it, that is another issue. Okay, so playing the game is already an issue in itself. To make money out of it, it becomes a secondary issue as well. It becomes a secondary issue. So I personally believe that we should try to avoid it. Okay, we should try to avoid making money out of these gaming, because, like I said, you know, some of these games, they're already problematic. Okay, there might be games that are absolutely fine, you know, games that are meant for educational purposes or something like that. But we cannot give a general answer. Like I say, it's difficult to give a general answer unless you assess the situation. When it comes to metaverse, it's the same thing. It'll be very difficult to give a general answer in relation to the metaverse, whether metaverse is in general is permissible or not. However,
it's kind of like the internet, though, Mufti Sab, isn't it? It's like the internet. You can't say to try to draw parallels for something we already have that's as ambiguous. It's like the internet. Is the internet halal or haram? Well, there's a lot of both happening there, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and there will be things that maybe is permissible, and there will be things that probably are not permissible. I agree to that. I definitely agree to that. And again, it will be even if you use it in a halal manner, we would need to assess what are the effects of you engaging yourself in the metaverse within, you know, your spiritual, when it is in relation to your spiritual life, in relation to your life, your social life. Okay, now what I mean by that is, if a person, let's say, play a game, or a person is engaged in metaverse in a halal manner, yeah, let's say everything he's doing is halal. Now, does it mean that this person is withdrawing himself from the world, that he's not now interacting anymore with his family, for example? He'd rather, you know, be on the metaverse or playing a game. Now it's affecting his social life, it's affecting his marital life, or it can even affect his spiritual life. If that is the case, then it is problematic. Then we cannot say that for that person is permissible, is halal for him to play the game, whether the game is halal or not, or to be in the metaverse. And you understand? We need to assess that. There will be many other issues in relation to metaverse. And again, people do need to understand something. And I think Mufti Faraz Adam has recently said that, you know, we need to accept that we don't know, we don't have the answers to everything, right? And this is kind of resonates a lot with what people of the industry believe in terms of regulation. Like, for example, you have recently there was an announcement or somebody who said that, you know, metaverse will have to be regulated in a very, very strict manner. Okay. Now you have, for example, a professor, Professor Woods from University of Essex. He's a professor of internet law, and he said something more or less similar. He said, you know, we don't know what the metaverse is. Yeah, we try to assume what it's going to look like, and we will try to make, you know, we're trying to find out solutions and mitigations, you know, to deal with what we think is going to come in relation to the metaverse. And I think from a Sharia perspective as well is the same thing. We need to accept that we don't know yet what it looks like. We think it's going to look like that. Yeah. And But unless we see it, unless we understand it, unless we see, you know, what the regulatory bodies allow metaverse to look like, it'll be very difficult, you know, to come with a definite answer. But yes, I believe that there will be certain things that are permissible on the metaverse, but there will be certain things that will be very problematic. Now, for example, like obviously I mentioned about, you know, doing impermissible activities on the metaverse, such as drinking alcohol, such as taking drugs. That is possible to do. What if, for example, your avatar, you create an avatar of yourself, and your wife creates an avatar of herself, and your avatar gives her talaq on the metaverse? Does a talaq take place or not?
Yeah.
Yeah. What if two persons do nikah on the metaverse? Will the nikah actually be considered as it has taken place or not?
Yeah.
And similarly, if you're doing transaction on the metaverse, then can you say that the rules of riba, the rules of interest are applied? Or, you know, is there zakat in the metaverse world? Like if you're buying assets on the metaverse, like NFTs, are these subject to zakat or not? I personally think some of the rules will be applicable, definitely. Definitely. Some of the rules might not be applicable, yeah, but and then some of the rules will be like, okay, we have to avoid it, you know, like for example, your character drinking alcohol, for example. Okay, it's not you drinking alcohol, but you shouldn't do that. Okay, there will be something like that. Committing zina, I think, is going to be like probably a big no-no, for example. So yeah, eventually, like I said, we have to stay cautious. We cannot give general answer, but eventually, bottom line is that there will be certain things that are permissible, certain things that are not permissible, definitely. And I think it's the same thing with the gaming. Some things are permissible, some things are not permissible. In terms of making money, is still too early to say whether it is permissible or not.
Okay, and so just from my perspective, because you know, there's a rule, or there's a certain I would say opinion on this, that as long as the metaverse, as of now, not necessarily the gaming, but not just the general, you know, you can go into the virtual world, walk around, say hello to other people and all that stuff, brings you some form of value and halal value, not haram value, halal value in the real world. In those factors, you know, there shouldn't be an issue. For example, there's people that go into the metaverse, they network in the metaverse, and then in real life they take those networks and sell them, you know, properties overseas, or, you know, sell them some form of solution or service.
Yes.
Conferences, conferences, halakas, you know, anything like that.
Yeah. So
yeah, there will be certain things. You know, that yesterday somebody was saying, you know, it could be even possible for two leaders of two countries to actually meet and engage, you know, in discussion on the metaverse. So they might create, like, I don't know, for example, the president of the United States avatar meeting with a dictator that they wouldn't want to meet, you know, in real life. So maybe they might say, okay, you know, let's do it in the metaverse. There are a lot of possibilities, but on the metaverse, definitely. But certain things will definitely be acceptable. But yeah, it's one of them thing. You know, you need to take each activity on a case by case basis.
Yeah, I think two things. One, I think that's a little too much. They could just Zoom call each other. no need to make it a time metaverse for just president's meeting. I think it's a little bit more fire and sparkle, and a little bit more cooler to see them in real life, because you can see like the tension, the politics, and all that stuff. Anywho, second thing I was gonna say, what would you guys think? Maybe we should do this show on the metaverse once or twice. I'm just adding an idea, because Moby's in Australia, you're gonna be in UK, I'll probably be in Canada soon, and so that way, you know, we can all meet each other in that manner.
Look, I think the metaverse agenda it's coming whether we like it or not. Like, you just have to look and see, you know, like movies are talking about it. There was this movie called Free Guy where they talk about like Ryan Reynolds' movie, and where at the end they're like, oh, in the metaverse you can do anything you want, and it's like, okay, this seems to be be pushed from a lot of angles right now.
You know,
governments,
you know,
big money.
Mubi, you know, this, as you said, definitely it will come. Someone from Meta have said that they are expecting most of the people on Earth to have an avatar in 30 years' time. Now, if you think about it, yeah, these how do you call it? This idea of having an avatar in a parallel world already exists. There were a possibility to do that even probably 10 years ago, if I'm not wrong. There was a possibility to do that, where you can actually create your avatar and interact with other people on a computer. Yeah, that there was a possibility already, but this is going to be a bit more advanced. Definitely is going to be more advanced. But remember, again, there will be a lot of challenges, even from an Islamic perspective, because when you're buying an asset on the metaverse, like you, let's say, for example, Sandbox, for example, and you buy a piece of land. Yeah, yesterday I checked, one of the land on Sandbox was being sold for like $20,000 American dollars. Now you buy the land, you own the land, okay, but do you actually really own the land? What if Sandbox decide to pull the plug and you have no more access to Sandbox platform? Then
is it an NFT? I haven't had the chance to look into Sandbox in that detail. But if it's in an NFT, then technically it should be in the ecosystem. But if they in the blockchain system, but if the blockchain
apparently there can be that possibility. Apparently there can be the possibility that they say it needs to be regulated. That if somebody pulls a plug, if they decide to shut it up, then you probably lose all your assets, and therefore you need regulation, to ensure that you don't lose your stuff, whatever you're buying on in the metaverse. So yeah, I think from a Sharia perspective, it is challenging, but again, it does not mean, remember something, it does not mean, we need to think about it, of course. It doesn't mean that being behind is a bad thing either. There is a video on YouTube published by The Economist. It's called New Technology. What do you have to fear? Okay, it's a very good, it's about 12 or 30 minutes video, and it talks about the regulatory challenges when it comes to new technology, how fast technology move and how slow regulations usually are to deal with them. And it's absolutely normal, from a share perspective as well, to kind of be slow sometimes. Things move too fast. They say that internet was adopted in the United States 6 times faster than electricity has been, when it first came out. 6 times faster. That's how things can move, very fast. And people can be slow, like better, about the cars without drivers in Arizona, like the recently, remember the Uber car, that killed the pedestrian, the lady, and then people were complaining like we need more regulation, even if it's to test the cars, we need more regulation. So yeah, it's one of them things that needs to be looked into further, inshallah.
Yes. Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much, Mufti Bilal, for this update. This has been super insightful, and I think we're going to build on this because there's going to be a lot of topics.
I love this. I love it. As much as we want halal, haram, when you explain it like that, Mufti makes perfect sense. It's like, well, is the internet halal or haram? Is is a news agency halal or haram? Is a library halal and haram? Like there's a lot of nuances. So it makes a lot of sense.
We need our people to start understanding quick fatwas. It's not the way of the future. But yes,
quick fatwas.
Thank you so much.
That's an idea. Quickfatwas.com, $150 per fatwa.
Oh, la ilaha illallah. Man, don't say this. Don't say this. Somebody's gonna start it. We're gonna have a lot of issues. But if you do make it, don't forget mine and Mobi and Mufti Bilal's equity in there. Just because the ID shake. Anyway. Thank you so much, Mufti Bilal. Take care of yourself and keep us to your thoughts. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you so much, Mufti.
Okay, very, very informative session there. I know we're running, and we've been getting a lot of comments about the show's too long, so we're gonna make it short. Mobi, maybe I'm gonna ask you to skip your part after my Marhaba updates to keep the video concise. Is that okay?
Yeah, sounds good. It gives you guys something to look forward to next week. So I won't tell you what it is. It is a gaming token. Although, like, now I'm scared to play any games anymore. But honestly, like the Mufti said, in moderation, everything is good, right? The Mufti was talking, and we didn't have time to. I didn't want to interrupt him, but there's that hadith where, and I'm hopefully get the gist of it. But a brother comes in front of the Prophet, or Sahaba comes in front of the Prophet, and he says, "Can I kiss my wife during fasting?" And he says, "Yes." And then another Muslim comes, and the Prophet says, "No," because he knows that person could control himself or not. So I think like moderation in everything is key. You could even, even going to work is probably, if you do that in excess, is bad for you. So I think, well, if it's gonna break a family, Ahmed's a little bit worried right now. No, but do you know what I'm trying to say? Like extremes, you know what I mean? So guys, definitely tune in next week because I've got a really good low cap gem, very low cap gem, under $100 million. It's very, very strong fundamentals, and I'll bring you a deep dive and look into just the inner workings of tokenomics. So definitely like, comment, subscribe, and we promise we'll bring that to you next week. But yeah, Ahmed, I'll let you go. I know there's some very juicy updates on the market update this week.
Okay, I'm sharing my screen. Let me know when you can see it, or you guys just push it.
Okay, there we go.
All right, amazing.
Yeah, there we go.
So
perfect.
Right to our Twitter, we have a lot of updates you guys can see here. And if you're not following us on Twitter, what are you doing? Follow us on Twitter. So there's a few really juicy updates. We'll start off with being mentioned on the NASDAQ. With a few other very famous coins such as Binance and Torum and Fresh.ai. And we're in this article where they talk about 7 killer cryptos to buy for January, which was last month. And I know I didn't get a chance to share this with you guys last month, but we are here and we're here sharing this with you guys. The few things that this article talks about when it comes to Marhaba are things that we've been talking about for the longest time. We're talking about, the launch was successful. We're talking about what we stand for, our audience. We have a huge audience and huge potential here. We're talking about the $3 trillion size of the current liquidity pool within the Islamic finance world, and how as the world moves from fiat to DeFi, this, or at least a certain portion of it, will move also. And the way crypto is going, at some point everything will be in that zone. So there needs to be solutions for that liquidity. There needs to be a solution for the 1.7 plus billion ethical and halal minded individuals. And so this is what this project talks about. It talks about the opportunity at hand. With that, they also talk about the upcoming liquidity harvester, which we've already talked about, the APY ranging from 5 to 25%. And just maybe I can share this a little bit because I get a chance to work with a technical team here and there, and I saw that they were looking at ways that it could be potentially more than this. When stable coins range would be different, other cryptos range would be different. So the ranges may vary, and it could be a lot more than this. So some exciting stuff that's coming, and there's a lot of focus on the utilities of our project in this article. Talk about the interest-free crypto financing, talking about the NFT marketplace. It's pretty much everything we've been talking about. So similarly, you guys can see here another article, a second article that we're sharing here from the Center for Global Muslim Life, the 10 most innovative global Muslim blockchain and metaverse projects to watch in 2022. And similarly, like the other article, this article also talks about the opportunity at hand with Marhaba DeFi. Why Marhaba DeFi is a good project, due to what we're focusing on, the audience, the size of the audience, and all that stuff. So we'll link all these things in the details below. So please do check them out, and let us know what your opinion is on these guys. All right. So what else is happening with Marhaba DeFi? So we've talked about the articles, the upcoming few launches. So you guys already know about that February 17th, which is only 4 days away, is our first launch when it comes to exchange. The exchange that we're launching on is LBank. The reason why we're focusing on LBank is because of the audience that it targets. And this will allow many people to come into the coming to the Marhaba ecosystem, and it's an entire it's focusing on the Middle East, it's focusing on the Chinese market, it's focusing on Malay, it's focusing on the Eastern global side market, and this is gonna increase our current liquidity and also bring in some new audiences. After that, we will be doing another exchange launch, which is gonna be a few weeks after. Those details will come out, progressively. Now back to Sahal Wallet. Sahal Wallet is upcoming in February 22. We're very close to February 22, about 9 days away. So right after the exchange launch, we will be having our Sahal launch. So if you don't want to buy it on the exchange, you can buy the Marhaba token on the Sahal Wallet itself through MoonPay. So MoonPay is who we have partnered with, and MoonPay has shown great virtue in this partnership, and they've decreased their cost per commissions and all that stuff for us. So hey, it's a good opportunity if you want to just go onto the wallet and buy it there, buy the Marhaba tokens there. We also have the swap features, and you guys know about the other features that we're working on through the Sahal wallet. We are planning on developing this to be fully connected to the ecosystem. So watch out for February 22 when it comes to the Sahal wallet being launched. We should be able to download it on Android for sure, and iOS is something that we're confirming within the next few days. So you guys will be able to download on both systems. That is our market update for Marhaba this week. We are focusing this last week and the upcoming week on the launches. So, stay tuned in on our social media. Join us on our Telegram. Join us on our Discord. Our Discord has some interesting discussions going on in there when it comes to the technical side. So do check it out. And yeah, let us know what you guys think about this current show in the comments below. Moby, any last few points that you want to mention before we sign off for today?
No, awesome, man. A lot of good stuff, really, really exciting stuff. And yeah, just make sure you guys keep tuning in. Hopefully, one thing we should really, really quickly mention is for subscribers, you would have noticed in the last week, there's a lot more content coming up too. So we started the crypto conversations with Jillian. They're being released once per week. There's a really good limited run series with Denise as well. So we've got some really, really good feedback. People love hearing from other members of the team, the CTO and that type of stuff. So there's a lot of people behind the scenes, guys. It's not just a developer and Ahmed, if it was just that, this thing wouldn't take off. All due respect to my beloved brother, there is a huge, huge team behind the scenes. No, I joke. Everyone obviously loves what Ahmed does. The project wouldn't be what it is without Ahmed. But there's a huge team, and you just don't see a lot of them because they're busy working on the project. And our Muftis as well. Like, we get feedback. We get so much good feedback about Mufti Saab. We really, really do appreciate it. You guys love him. People say that once a week is not enough, or need to have him on more. Guys, we hear you, and we're really happy. That's a good problem to have. The guy's got a job. He's busy working on Marhaba. If he answered all your questions, then when the Sahal wallet comes out, you're not going to be happy because there's like 3 tokens in it. So I say that respectfully and lovingly, guys. We really appreciate that. And a lot of what we do is community service. Like we're helping you guys out. This is not just for Marhaba investors. It's for the public. It's to help you guys. It's for free. We get nothing out of that. And if you see fit, please share it on. So yeah.
Amazing. So you guys like, share, subscribe, share with all your friends, the aunties, the uncles, the cousins that you rejected. And take care of yourself. Stay safe from COVID. As always, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.